Okay, guys, so we just had the swimming pool plastered yesterday. This is our job out in Villa Park, California, uh, southeast Orange County. Um, we had Primetime Pool Plastering come out and install a Tropics Blue mini pebble. So it's a pebble type finish. It's a little different than traditional plaster. Here they're basically doing a moisture check on the shotcrete. We had a lot of rain recently, and they're basically taking a look at it and seeing how saturated the shotcrete is there. This gentleman is putting on his spikes. So pool plasterers stay elevated up out of the plaster with these spike type platforms. So here we have them shooting on the actual plaster already. And the gentleman in the background there is pulling the plaster up vertically to fill in the void underneath the tile. So that little lip that the tile creates sticking out, they go ahead and pull that up and make sure that gets filled early on in the process. It's pretty satisfying seeing this plaster come out. It's kind of fun. There's so many different colors of plaster nowadays. There's always been different colors, but if you go back to like the 60s and around that time, primarily they had white plaster. So a lot of these old remodels we do, we're tearing out old white plaster, typically for a pebble type finish, which is common now. But a lot of the old white plaster ends up looking kind of blue anyways, which is kind of funny because of the old copper plumbing. That old copper plumbing would turn the plaster kind of a blue-green, kind of like the Statue of Liberty. So it kind of patinas. But yeah, so there they have the whole Baja shelf filled in. And again, he's pulling that plaster up vertically underneath the lip of the tile. So he's making sure that section gets filled in with plaster. There's no hollow parts or no voids in that area. So I grew up in swimming pool construction, more or less, and my dad was a pool plasterer. So this is what my dad did for about 20 years. His dad, my grandpa, owned a pool plastering company. And I have a couple memories as a really young boy going out to see my dad plaster. I think he plastered our neighbor's pool. And so I remember going out before I went to school and seeing him down in the hole plastering. So I kind of have, there's a bit of a soft spot in my heart for plastering, just because I always heard of it growing up, and it was always a part of dialogue and conversation in my house. Not that it was anything that I ever did, but it's pretty cool seeing it go full circle. And then my dad eventually became a pool builder, hence how I got into swimming pool construction. But I know these guys, along with every other trade in the swimming pool construction process, and just construction in general, they're hard workers. It definitely takes a toll on the body. And this crew is a pretty good sized crew, so the more hands on deck, obviously, the better it is. So here, they're still just filling in the rest of the pool. And this gentleman here is filling in the suction grates. So yeah, those are all of our suction outlets, and they put a nice pebble finish in it to match the pool. I think this pool will have 4 altogether, one for the main suction and one for a water feature, and then the spa will have 2 as well. Those so when you see 2 suction outlets on the bottom of a pool, that's actually just a T, and it's going into one line. And that's a safety feature they do to avoid entrapment on the bottom of a pool. In the past, people have gotten stuck down there, and it has caused some fatalities. So that is a safety feature they do now. So if one gets covered, it won't fully pull somebody down. It will just divert and pull from the other one. And here this guy is getting our corners in. so fun. This kind of this kind of reminds me of like frosting or something, like they're frosting a cake. That's what it reminds me of. When you see concrete, and then when you see the shotcrete phase, it's a very, very different type of material that they're applying. Ultimately, it's still a cementatious type product, but this is very fine, and kind of like I say, it almost reminds me of like frosting, where concrete and shotcrete is much thicker, and just a different consistency. I was pretty surprised to see how wet this stuff was, and how malleable and wet it was. I thought it would take a little more effort to move around, but these guys move it around pretty effortlessly. But it seems like it might take up quicker than concrete. I don't know about that though. I'll have to look into that. It seems like it took up pretty quick on these guys. So once they start pumping that plaster out, it's go time. So I don't know if that's true, if it takes up quicker than concrete. Maybe I'll look into that and try to get an answer for you guys. Or maybe some of you guys know. If you do know, go ahead and leave a comment down below. This was done pretty early in the morning, so I know ambient temperature has a lot to do with the plaster take-up time. Same with cement. So it was nice and cool this morning. The guy in the gray hoodie there is throwing out abalone shell. And so we mix the abalone. We don't put it in the mix because you would waste a lot of it, and most of it wouldn't be seen. So this gets dispersed on top, and the abalone just gives it a really nice, pretty, kind of like a pearlescent type look. So if you ever look up close to it, you'll be able to see those abalone shells, and they kind of sparkle. Looks kind of cool. And excuse me guys if my voice sounds a little weird. I am sick right now. So a head cold went through my family. My wife and daughters had it, and I thought I dodged a bullet. I was bragging like, oh, I didn't get sick, and sure enough, I got hit with it. I love watching this guy right here pull that plaster up along the wall. It's so cool. Doing a process like this, building a swimming pool, building a house, I think it's good to know as much as you can, obviously, about every stage of the process, every step. You might not be a master at every step, but it is good to know about it. And that's why I like to come out and observe the whole process and just stay in the know, get to know the guys out there a little bit. Primetime Pool Plastering does an awesome job. I've been in there. You can see some of the exposed plaster. I've been in contact with the owner, Gus, and on this job, Gus's brother Oscar came out, so I was able to meet him. He's a really cool guy. These guys are professionals, and you can tell they could do this in their sleep. They just are so good at what they do. So up top here, they have these water lines. And that's basically used to expose the aggregate in the plaster. So as you might be familiar with cement, they can do an exposed finish. Well, that's essentially what this is here. So they're taking the misters, and you can see that water comes out really fine because you don't want any really, really heavy water flow creating channels on the Pebble Tech. Excuse me, Pebble. Pebble Tech is actually a brand of Pebble. This is NPT. Kind of like Kleenex. People say Kleenex, but that's actually a company name instead of a tissue. Anyways, that's relevant for the head cold I'm dealing with right now. But yeah, so it's really cool seeing them expose the aggregate in this Pebble. Oscar, I think he might be co-owner. It doesn't matter, but that's Gus's brother Oscar there. He's up there with the blower, and you can see that he's moving that water as this gentleman goes and completes kind of a finished, I don't know if you call it a float or what, but a finished look to the plaster. So he's exposing it, smoothing it out if need be. Then Oscar's pushing the water down to the bottom of the pool. So they actually put down some plastic in the shallow to deep end of the pool, and that plastic is making it so all this water that's running across the pool doesn't create channels down through the bottom of the pool. Think of just water running like along a mountain. It'll create channels and valleys, so you don't want that to happen in the plaster. So they put this plastic down, and then they have a pump on top of the plastic. You can kind of see it way out there right now. And that pump is just removing all the slurry and water out of the pool, and the plastic's protecting the plaster below it. And then as they work their way down, they'll go ahead and finish that deep end last, and make sure that's looking good. But it's really cool seeing this process right here. This is a cool step, because you could see some smoothing, some smoothening. Is that how you say it? Smoothening happening. There you can see the plastic down there, and they got the pump. They have these lines drawn across the pool, so all this stuff isn't just flapping around in the fresh plaster. This guy's hitting the wall. It's a really, really cool process to see. Every stage of the pool construction process is just so cool to watch, whether it's the excavation or shotcrete, the tile and stone, the deck. It was really fun to have Odell come out. Odell's Complete Concrete do our deck. They came out and did the drainage, the concrete, and a little block wall down there, which I kind of helped Tyler build. A little close-up of the exposed finish there. I don't know if there's any abalone up here. Yeah, you can see some abalone pieces. Beautiful, beautiful color. I love this option. That's a little LED light on the top of the shelf there, so that'll be nice and illuminated for them. So I got a new camera called the Insta360, and this camera is cool. So I set it up on a time lapse, and I had one of the guys just duct tape it to their lines above the pool, and it's a little shaky because of course this line is moving, and it's actually kind of impressive how smooth the footage is with how much that line is actually shaking. So the stabilization's pretty cool. But here's just a quick shot. You just saw the whole pool anyways, but this is just a quick time lapse of the plaster getting done. It's kind of cool seeing them. So I didn't touch on this yet, but they actually started in the spa. So at the far end of the pool there is a raised spa, and that's raised 18 inches. So it's basically like a bench height. So it can also serve as a bench seating if you're just hanging out over there. But so they hit that first, and now they work their way on the walls to the Baja shelf, to the other side of the wall. There they just got the plastic put out. So these time-lapse footages are pretty cool. I'm gonna try to get some more of these. There I am in my brown jacket over there with Oscar. Just just trying to look like I know what I'm doing. Try not to bug people. And anyways, guys, this was a really fun process. This is Primetime's plaster rig, one of them. So Primetime Pool Plastering. They got the nice cross on the side of the truck. They did an awesome job. Have a good day.